Hello everyone, my name is Shahab and I welcome you to Z3D. In this video, we are going to learn how to create high poly meshes in Zbrush and start where we left in our 3ds Max tutorial in the last video. So this is the stage where we ended our last video of 3ds Max, where we created all of these meshes, but now we are only going to focus on the top part of our mesh. So let's take it into isolation. So now I am going to hide this one also, the block, and I am going to go into object properties and wait, my object is not selected. I'm going to right click, go into object properties and uncheck the see-through option. That will make my object normal, and I will go into vertexes and select all of the vertexes and hit weld, so that all of our vertexes are connected. We are doing this because only so that Zbrush won't run into any problem, because connection of all of the vertexes are very important for Zbrush. Any unconnected vertex or any unconnected edge inside the Zbrush, the mesh is going to seriously run into problem, and it is going to give us enormous holes there. So we don't want that, and we don't want any black part onto our object like that. So we are going to weld them. After welding, let's select our object, and we only want our stone here. We are going to export this underscope mesh. We are going to name this stone underscope mesh and hit save. And now when we open our Zbrush, we will import our model, stone mesh, hit OK. Our model is imported, but we need to drag our model by clicking here, and I will click on shift so that it is straight. Let's go into edit mode. First I will change my material into basic material, and I will check the sides, top, and everything. Is my model correct or no? Just what we talked about earlier, that if we do not connect any edges, we are going to get holes in the mesh that we don't want. But now our model is perfectly fine, so we are going to go into geometry, and I will go into Dynamesh. Check the resolution, it is 128. We don't need so less resolution, and we are going to make it 2048. Hit enter, click on Dynamesh. Zbrush is going to take a little while. I am not skipping this part so that you will know how much time it is taking from my end as well. It is actually taking a little longer. I don't know why. It should end in any moment now. Okay, so the dynamish part is done, and now I will get into this view, go into my brush. This is the brush which you don't have by default in the ZBrush, so I am going to give a link in the description where you can download this brush. I have downloaded this brush from a random website which I liked, and it was a very long time ago, so I don't remember the website's name, but I am going to give a file where containing this brush, so you can download it. I am going to select alpha 28. This is the alpha that I like while polishing a mesh, and see, we are getting okay, so intensity is too much. I am going to make it okay. Now I will start sculpting. By the way, if you this is the default, that is like from by default this blush is in minus mode, so if you want to plus, you can click alt, that will plus, but we don't want that. We want the rough edges for our mesh, so we are going to straight this out. Going to change my brush alpha again so that we get something result like this. Alright, let's cross check now. All of the edges are done. Yes. Now we need to make it look like a concrete first. Or maybe no, I am changing my mind here, and we're not going to make it look like a concrete but straight directly as a rock formation. So let's test something here first. I am going to control press and drag like this, so that control press and drag like this, so that I have marked, I have made a mask there only at the half side, and I will create one more mask there, and I'm going to change my brush into standard mode, drag, and use my stone alpha which I have here. I am also going to give a link in the description to download this alpha which I have created. So if you drag, you are going to get a stone something, but we are going to make the intensity higher, just so we get something like that. You see? just random stones we are getting there. All right. Actually, I am going to undo the step and unmask everything and try to create a rock just like that. You see how we are going? And now I am going to change my alpha. Here, this one, which is going to give me a different result here. And here on top we are going to use a different alpha, which I will go into lesser intensity, intensity, sorry. And drag some there, like that. Okay, now as you can see, this is a lot of active points that we have here. We don't need this much, so I am going to try a different setting. First, we will actually, we don't want to lose this mesh here, so we will duplicate this mesh here, duplicate it, and then just check that this one is, the new one is selected, and I will go into 1000 and hit remesh. This is again going to take a little while. Okay, that was done, and we have a pretty good result here, which we can zoom in and check our details, and our poly count is now even less now. I will close the Dynamesh, and I will go to my subtool. I will name this I will rename this mesh into stone underscore mesh, and I will duplicate this, hide the original one, and the copy, this one right here which we just created, is going to be our low poly mesh. So currently it is still in our high poly state. As you can see, Dynamesh is off. We are going to remesher and remesh it. Check on keep creases. Let's go with 1. Let's try and check the result, what Zbrush is going to give us. But before hitting remesher, I am going to select polyframe view and hit Z remesher. Okay, Zbrush is now calculating all of the polygons and giving us a low poly version of it. Z remesher is better than a different function that Zbrush has, that is decimation. I prefer Z remesher more than decimation, so let's see what. Yes, as you can see now, our Z remesher is done, and let's check our poly count. Active points 3300. Yes, we can work with this much. This much is fine. We will go in our subtools and check what we have here. Okay, this is one example. Now we are going to create another low poly by again duplicating our original mesh. We are going to hide the one that we created, and we are going to work with our new duplicate and hide the original mesh here. Before we go into Z remesher now, this time we are going to Dynamesh it by 500 resolution. Hit Dynamesh. Now as you can see, the active points are automatically reduced on this one. Turn off the polyframe view. I am going to make my brush size a little bigger and hit shift so that we get our smooth brush, and try smoothing it. Alright, when this is done, we are going to go into geometry again and turn off Dynamesh, and then open remesher and let's give it a count of 1. Turn on keep creasing, and before turning on zero measure, let's turn on poly frame view and activate remeasure. It is again going to take a little while there. You see the progress here up. Alright, now we can see that we have got a very nice geometry here. Very nice. Now what's left is we need to go into subtool, and we are going to compare now both of these two geometries. You see the difference? Alright, now let's go into export here by checking that this mesh is selected. Let's go to export, and I am going to name this mesh stone mesh low. Let's keep this obj and let's export this. Once the exporting is done, you go back in, we need to go back in subtool, hide this, select our original high poly mesh and unhide this, turn off polyframe view and check you are selecting the correct mesh, and then export it as stone underscore high poly. Stone underscore high is fine. Let's save this. Now we need to go back in our 3ds Max file. I am actually going to end isolation of this, select all of them and hide them all, and then I am going to import the mesh we just created, that is our high poly. Import. Deselect the edge faces so that we get the default view, and again import the low poly mesh. Import. Okay, so I am going to rename this mesh stone underscore low, and I'm going to rename this stone underscore high. Okay, let's check they are both in the center, and I will go to symmetry and click on x-axis, no sorry, unclick z-axis and click on y-axis, but flipped. Yes, and where it says weld seam, I am going to uncheck this. Now I will go to my high poly and I will turn on symmetry on this also. Unclick z-axis, click on y-axis. This is the high poly mesh, so it is going to take a while, and select flip. Here also I am going to disable the weld seam and collapse all. Now on the low poly I am also going to do collapse all. Go to our element mode, select this one, select this element, check that you're not selecting the front one, only the back side, and hit delete. Now in the high poly also you are going to go to element mode, select this element, check that you are not selecting the back side. I mean you're only selecting the back side and not the front side, and hit delete. Now you have the high and low poly of only the front sides. Now to check this, that if this model that we have created is correct or not, we need to take this model into Substance Painter and check that it is properly baking or not. So let's do this now. But before we take this model into Substance Painter, we need to unwrap this. So select Stone Low, go to UV unwrapping. Actually my element mode is on there. Okay, so now editable poly and then UV unwrapping, and now I am going to select all of the faces, and this is a quick UV unwrapping. Later on, once we get the good result and once our test is complete in the Substance Painter, I am going to re-unwrap this properly, but for now let's just flatten this. Okay, I have installed text tools, so let's check this in the text tools. I need to undo this. Select them all and go back in flatten mapping. Okay, yes, for now it is good. Collapse all, get into front view, select this mesh. Now I will turn on edged face, select this mesh, export selected. Here I will create new folder and name this stone_test. Open this folder. I will name my file here, the low poly fbx, as stone low, actually stone test_low. Yes. Okay, I will hide my low poly and unhide my high poly object. I will make sure it is selected, go to export selected, and then stone test high. Save this file. Oh no, wait, no, wait, sorry, I'm so sorry. We need to go into export selected and choose this as obj stone test underscore hi as obj. Save file, export, because I believe obj gives us good results in baking more than the FBX version, and the low poly I always keep it in FBX. Once it is done, we are going to open Substance 3D Painter. I am using 2021 version. Now this is done. I know what's the warning here, rat's nest, I think so. See, rat's nest, but let's don't mind that. And I am going to open Substance Painter. Okay, once the Substance Painter is open, you have to go to File, select New, select your mesh, that is okay. Let's go in texture settings, texture set settings I mean, and select bake mesh maps. I will keep the resolution here 4096. Only select our first map, that is normal map. Set the gauge limit to 0.02, 0.02. Select our high poly obj and super sampling x64 or 8x8. Okay, let's see if this works. Yes, you see, we are getting all of our high poly details onto our low poly mesh. So later on, once we are done with all of our meshes, the remaining ones, we are going to do a very nice baking, more nicer than this one, because this was just the example, and you see how much nice and dense our model is. And yeah, later on we are going to cut a piece, a square piece inside here for our wall, so that the lion head, the sculpting, will be on top of that. Alright everyone, that's it for this video, and I hope you like this video, so give this video a like. Okay, and I am going to give you all of the project files also, so let's continue in the next video. Bye for now.